and by the way, why don't you plug your stream?
Well, I do a show every week called This Week on the Alt-Right, but I've just released a video today. I release a video every Friday at 1 p.m. UK time, and I've just released one called The Liberal Push to Sexualise Children, and it's a breakdown of how the liberal media, the mainstream media and the liberal establishment are pushing this thing of drag kids, and they are pushing highly sexualized material upon children. Now, a lot of people have said, oh, well, it's all about emasculating boys. It's all about turning boys into little girls. And that's the big push. Well, that's part of it. But the big push is actually to normalize pedophilia. And there's a huge push now within the mainstream media and within the establishment to get young boys into these bizarre sexualized environments. And you're seeing now images emerging of people from RuPaul's Drag Race, basically naked, stood there with 10-year-old boys hugging them. And it's absolutely degenerate. So if after the show people want to go over and give that a watch and give it a thumb up, that would be.
By the way,
really,
I just
really...
pulled it up on screen. You want to watch a few minutes of it real quick before you go?
Yeah, sure, if you want.
Yeah, why not? I mean, I figure it's only appropriate. Now, you obviously already have the link to it. I mean, it's your video. So I will post it in here for the other gentleman, Gator and Zidane. Oh, God, that thumbnail. I don't think they saw the thumbnail, but it's just... Oh, shit.
Oh, boy.
Jesus.
Yeah, let me see. I'll pull it up on over here.
That's an 11-year-old boy dressed in women's clothes with his legs apart. And that isn't a picture that is some private picture. That was a special photo shoot for one of these progressive magazines.
Oh, my God. All right, let's... Okay, let's start it. I have it pulled up. Do you gentlemen have it pulled up?
Yep. Regretfully.
All right, let's play it. We'll watch a few minutes of it right now.
It's 2018. There's going to be drag kids in the world. And I'm one of them.
Oh my God.
So here we are with child
I already
drag
want to die.
queens being paraded around as the new normal, the new healthy, the new way for your son to express his individuality. Because after all, it is 2019, the current year in fact, and this is the level we have sunk to. Well, actually that clip was clearly filmed in 2018, which was last year. So I'm guessing, as this is 2019, we are going to sink even lower. As that's the thing with progressive politics. It just keeps on progressing. But where is it progressing to? Where is this all going to end? Well, I can answer that for you. It ends when the final taboo is broken. When every single moral boundary is breached. When every single barrier of decency has been smashed. And some people will be quick to chime in that this is all about attacking masculinity. It's all about making little boys into little girls. It's about emasculating future generations of men. And sure, to a degree it is. That's definitely part of what is going on here. Promoting child drag queens certainly helps push that agenda. And that agenda is definitely being pushed more and more. But I think the emasculation of young boys is actually the smaller part of this. The big part of this is actually the normalization of paedophilia. The real drive behind this part of the progressive agenda is the sexualization of children and the normalization of viewing children as sexual objects, and by extension, this all normalizes the practice of placing children within completely inappropriate and sexualized environments. And I called this. I stated some time ago that this was where the so-called sexual revolution was leading. Over 2 years ago, I released a video called "The LGBT Agenda is Helping to Normalize Paedophilia." It's linked in the description below. In that video, I presented a large amount of evidence showing how the same people who pushed for LGBT acceptance were now pushing for much worse. And I cited articles from mainstream news sources that attempted to normalize incest, bestiality, and yes, even paedophilia. And the way these articles tried to normalize these sexual perversions was through humanizing the people who participated in them. And we will come back to that theme later. But since that video was uploaded, we have seen the rise of what has been termed child drag queens. Little boys who are paraded around, dressed in drag, sexualized, and then leered at by grown men.
By the way, I'll pause at 306. We just had Destiny on last week, and he literally said incest should be legal anyway. Well,
Yeah, of course he did. He's a complete degenerate.
I can't. He said I was triggered because I said I said he was degenerate and that this was disgusting, and he made me sick, and he said I was triggered because of that. All right, 306. Let's continue.
And when we say little boys, we are not talking about boys who have reached puberty. We are not talking about mature boys. We are talking about little boys. Boys aged 10 or 11, and sometimes even younger. And this horrific trend reached a new low at the end of last year, when one of these child drag queens danced at an adult homosexual venue in New York as grown men threw money at him as if he was a stripper. I read this from LifeSite, and I quote, New York, New York, December the 17th, 2018. Perhaps sensing the horrific optics of the event, LGBT news sites have assiduously avoided reporting that their favourite 11-year-old drag kid, Desmond is Amazing, danced on stage in a New York gay bar while adult male patrons tossed money his way as if he were a male stripper. The pre-adolescent boy, dressed in drag to imitate singer Gwen Stefani, pranced around the stage at Brooklyn's $3 bill, an LGBT bar described as queer-owned and operated, and Brooklyn's premier queer bar and performance venue. End quote. So let's break this down. We have an adult homosexual venue that had a child drag queen perform on stage as adult homosexual men threw money at him. And this is tolerated, and no doubt even applauded by many liberal and progressive thinkers and policymakers. But don't fool yourself into thinking this is an isolated incident. Oh no, this is part of a concentrated effort to normalise this kind of behaviour and paint this kind of activity as both healthy and normal, all under the guise of acceptance and tolerance and letting people express themselves. I read this from The Blaze, and I quote, Nemis Quinn Melanson Golden, 10, aka Queen Lactatia, appears in a Hook magazine feature that glorifies the child's drag queen lifestyle. A photo shoot for the magazine included an unpublished photo of Nemis with the nude winner of RuPaul's Drag Race, Violet Chachki, who is wearing nothing but high heels and a tiny patch of black fabric across the genital area. The photo appeared on Twitter. In it, Nemis is leaning in toward Violet with a wow expression on his face. According to credits, Jonathan Turton photographed the spread, which includes Nemis sitting with his legs open in an evening-style black dress, a bright purple wig, and fishnet stockings. End quote. A 10-year-old boy dressed in women's clothes posing with a naked man who is pretending to be a woman. What's your problem with that, bigot? Don't you know? It's the current year. But we all know what liberals and progressives will say. These are just isolated cases. This is fringe behaviour. It's not like it's mainstream.
Please welcome Desmond Napolis, a.k.a. Desmond is Amazing. How you doing?
Thanks for being here.
That clip was taken from Good Morning America, a daily show on a major US network that has a viewership of roughly 4.5 million people. If that's not an example of this being pushed by the mainstream, I don't know what is. And the boy featured in that clip, the same one featured in the clip at the beginning of this video, is known as Desmond is Amazing. He is 11. He shot to prominence in 2017 when images of him performing at gay pride events went viral. But he was active on the gay pride scene much earlier and appeared in a music video for the song The Bacon Shake, performed by a drag queen called Jinx Monsoon when he was aged just 7. And that in itself is quite strange if you ask me. Why would a 7-year-old have such awareness of sexual ideas and themes? Unless someone has attempted to indoctrinate that child. But reading from his Wikipedia page may give you a clue about this. And I quote, Desmond identifies as gay and states that he has been out since a very early age. Desmond's parents stated that at the age of 2 or 3, they understood that he was likely gay, and they exposed him to a variety of gay culture, including showing him drag performances and taking him to pride parades. Desmond's parents stated that he was openly gay when he entered kindergarten. Desmond's mother reports that he began gravitating towards drag performances when he was 2 and watched RuPaul's Drag Race. End quote. Sounds like indoctrination to me. I mean, homosexuality is a sexual orientation. It refers to the gender that a person has a romantic or sexual attraction to. Why would a child be even thinking about sexual themes and ideas? And let's get this straight. Desmond's parents claim that he was openly gay before he entered kindergarten, which for the record starts at 5 years of age in the US. But indoctrinating children and pushing sexual material upon them is sadly nothing new, as similar material and themes are already being pushed in schools and libraries. Remember Drag Queen Story Hour, where toddlers had progressive stories read to them by drag queens in public libraries? Now again, I could go into this in much more depth. However, I already made an entire video on this very topic. It's called Drag Queens Invited into British Primary Schools. Again, it's linked in the description below. But this sickening trend of sexualizing children and normalizing behavior that is clearly highly inappropriate is nothing new. And it certainly isn't a series of isolated cases or fringe behavior. The liberal political establishment and the mainstream media are committed to pushing this agenda and are doing so at an alarming pace. And the only logical conclusion that one can draw is that this push is an attempt to break the final taboo, that the people promoting this are attempting to normalize the sexualization of children and ultimately attempting to normalize paedophilia. And the people doing this are the same ones that pushed for every other form of sexual taboo to be taken out of the closet and paraded publicly as both normal and healthy, whilst at the same
almost
time
10 million views on that video.
Anyone that attempted to push back against this trend as intolerant,
I see your dislike
a hater,
there registered.
and a bigot. And you've heard their arguments before.
Yeah, I always mention it.
This
do
is
your
about
part.
letting people
You did your part.
love. It's about tolerating other people's choices, letting people express themselves. It's not like they will be coming into schools and forcing it upon your children. Well, that's exactly what they have done, because your children are their target. And all this has been done through careful and calculated emotional manipulation. Every form of sickness and degeneracy that has been normalized has been done so by making the public feel sympathy for those that the media have held up as the poster boys for whatever they are currently trying to normalize. And they have even tried to do this with actual paedophiles. 2 mainstream news outlets, Salon and Vice, attempted to do this with a self-confessed paedophile named Todd Nickerson. Salon has since removed their article. However, it's still available on archive sites. The Vice article, titled "A Paedophile Opens Up About Being Targeted by Vigilantes," is, however, still live. This article talks about the stigma attached to being a paedophile. It then goes on to attempt to make the reader feel sorry for the paedophile in question, before finally asserting that stigmatizing paedophiles can in fact endanger children. So you can effectively see that the mainstream media and the liberal establishment are actually pushing a two-pronged attack here. Not only have they normalised every single kind of perversion, even attempting to make the public feel sympathy for paedophiles, but they are also trying to sexualise children and are actually preparing children to be targeted by sexual predators by placing them in wholly inappropriate situations and environments. Because remember, if liberals can tell you that your child can consent to a sex change, that your child can consent to choosing their sexual orientation before they enter kindergarten, what else will liberals say that your child can consent to? Why not ask these people exactly what their sacred chant of love is love actually encompasses? Because none of this has happened by accident. This is a concerted effort by the mainstream media and the liberal establishment that is aimed at undermining our society and destroying our civilization by completely smashing our moral compass. Our enemies have not only made us tolerate degeneracy and perversion, but they have held up degeneracy and perversion as virtues, as traits that should be aspired to and seen as not just healthy and normal, but in fact as ideals that should be placed on a pedestal and worshipped. Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed this podcast, please help spread the message by liking and sharing it on social networks. If you want to hear more from me, please hit the subscribe button.
There you go. The Fall of Western Man, Mark Collett. Originally, I was only going to play a few minutes of it, but I just, even though it's a disgusting topic, I just had to keep letting it play, to be honest with you. I didn't feel it was appropriate to cut it off. It's hard to watch. I'm not going to.
Yeah, it really is.
Oh, you're welcome. I thought it was an important video to play all the way through. At first I said, we'll play 4 or 5 minutes, but no, we had to keep it rolling.
Shocking.
It is shocking. Yeah, I mean, and I saw people in the chat saying, turn it off. It's making me sick to watch. But honestly, you need to see it. So that's why I let it roll.
It should make you sick. It should make you fucking angry.
But which part shocked you the most? Because I'll tell you, I'm leading to this. What shocked me the most, the bit when I was producing it, it was really horrible researching that. But the bit that really gets me is when you see that clearly brainwashed and indoctrinated child being led out on Good Morning
ABC.
America.
I was just about to say the ABC part was by far the most. Yeah.
Clapping and whooping as if this is like, an Olympic gold medalist, walking onto the show, and everyone's like, oh wow, you did the country proud. And this is a boy whose parents said he identified openly as gay at 2 or 3 years old. No child at 2 or 3 years old says they're gay. Gay is who you choose to have sex with. A man being gay means that man chooses to have sex with another male. What 2-year-old boy decides that he wants to have sex with men? Unless the parents have told him that and indoctrinated him.
Well, also somebody in the chat said you can't really have sexual preference before you have sexual desire. I mean, a fucking 2-year-old kid saying that is just I don't know. And no, I had never seen the ABC clip. I mean, in some ways, no, it's not surprising, but in other ways, just wow, I don't even know. I could say some things I probably shouldn't since we got man, I don't know. It's just it's depressing to see, but I feel
remember, boys, you're not allowed to hate the people pushing that agenda. They're allowed to hate you. And remember, the people pushing that agenda are the ones who would have schoolboys in MAGA hats who have the temerity to smirk at someone, literally sent away to re-education camps, but at the same time, they're cheering parents who push that filth upon their kids.